Ha ha! There I am. Hey, folks, Michael here. The grandkids call me Roo. I'm laughing out loud because I just took my phone rang at like just as I started the video. My phone rang and I saw the name on the phone and I said, I've got to take this call. I just have to take this call. One of my dearest friends in the world, who is an ideas genius. Going through a tough patch in his life right now, just in a job transition. And that's not tough. It is. It's tough for men when you go through a job transition. It's tough on the family because community changes. It's tough on the wife because she knows her husband is really gifted, and it's tough on everything. But and it's tough at Christmas. And so I've been kind of that guy who's calling him every now and then and pestering him and making him laugh and storytelling. And he came and spent 4 days with me, and he's just brilliant dude. I love him much. Great thinker, and we worked together many years ago, and it just struck up a friendship in these months that we were together. It wasn't like a next door neighbor or anything like that, just in a connection, and it has become one of my dearest friends. And I knew I had to take that call, and so that's where I was for a minute. And I rolled that piece of video because I wanted to see it again. I may even roll it one more time because I paint that same painting from time to time, just as kind of a clearinghouse painting. But welcome to Roodoodles Live. It's Saturday morning. It's December the 9th. It's a good day to be alive. It's my son's birthday today, the well-adjusted middle child. So I'll call him after the show and wish him a happy birthday. We dropped a couple things on the doorstep. He lives 4.5 hours from here, but we dropped 2 things via Amazon that he'll be kind of surprised about. And then they're coming over for Christmas, but I just want to say blessings to you for being on the show today. Wait a minute. I got something right in the middle of my glasses there that probably shouldn't be there to watercolor paint with. Oh, that's better. Okay, so let me say hello and thanks for being on the show. Love it when you guys are here. Love it when you're a part of what I do. And let me just show you what's on the desk, and then I'll say hello to some of you too. Boom. Ah, yes. Let's see. Let's start way up here. Pat Brooks, thanks for being on the show, my dear friend. Lori Stanley Handelmeyer Henderson, thank you for being on the show. Marie Pikert, Randall Taylor Craven, always love to hear from you. Karen Bender, Amy Roach, Jennifer Yentz from warm and windy Indiana. Well, that's strange. Kimberly Fox says, Salowich says, hi, long time since I caught up. Well, where have you been, Kimberly? I've been right here with most Saturday mornings. Alice Durham, thanks for being on. Let's see. Jane Anthalzer, love it when you're on. Do I need to use that Jimerson in the middle just because it's there? Pat Lightbody, always love to have you from Wisconsin. Why do I do that? I'm just a silly man. I'm a foolish guy sometimes in my actions and in my art, but I'll tell you what it does. It connects me to people. We were at a Christmas party last night, and you know the perfect size Christmas party? You're thinking, maybe 100, 200 people. I'm thinking 8 would be perfect. Maybe 7, but there were probably 65 or 75 people there. Anyway, you know, you feel like you don't see but the 8 people you're eating with around the table. And so glad you other guys were drive-bys. And I'll tell you about my favorite birthday party. No, I'll probably forget. So birthday party. Jason Nichols, glad to have you on. Beverly Schmidt from Greenville. Beverly Schmidt, my daughter's in Greenville today at an art show. She's showing some of her art there. Gosh, it's a juried show, and I'm not sure. I should know exactly where it is. It's just a little outdoor pop-up thing today, but it's serious business. All the artists are juried. You have to have your stuff go. She's been a part of it for years. Jason Nicholas, glad to see you on the show, my dear friend. Thought of you anytime I write down the word pen, or I looked at an architectural book this week, made me think of you. Annette Hinsland from way up there in Bird Island. See, it's not even written there. June Jones, blessings to you for being on the show. James O'Wade. Is it Oscar? Is it Oliver? I need to know that someday. Linda Schleitney from beautiful Ohio. Mickey Hupp, welcome. Andy McBean, love the history of your name. I think that's pretty fun. And I found that out. Renee Keys, welcome. It has been a while, Renee. So you guys just found me in the middle of December here. So, and Maggie Carnahan from Culpeper. Gotcha. All right, here we go. A few people on today, so it gets closer to Shop at Oliver. See, I was right. I said Oliver. Oliver. Food, glorious food, meatballs and spaghetti. See, I can connect that, huh? All right, here we go. Hey, on my desk this morning is the big brother to this. Oh, shucks. Where is it? Maybe I lied to you. Where's my painting book? Well, rats. That's not good, is it? Huh. All right, I'm not going to quit yet. Just give me a second here. I wanted to show you how fun this is. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay. Sometimes you see me flash this little book out here just like this. It's like my favorite original bright white cold pressed 100 Bureau. It's Joe Miller approved. I love that. This is Kilimanjaro, some of my favorite paper. It's in the medium price range. It's not outrageous. It's not tractor printed. This is what I call tractor printed. I just made this term up. I make terms up sometimes. I've got a couple terms that I've come to terms with: tractor prints and post-artum. And if you don't think that's a real thing, I asked some folks about it just last night. They were asking me about you guys in the painting show, and I said, still goes on every Saturday morning. It is Saturday, right? I'll be there. I'll be there in the morning, and so they said, do you post them somewhere? And I said, well, sometimes, but I have postpartum blues. And they went, what is that? And I explained to them postpartum blues, which if I haven't done in a while, I'll do it again. It's a word that I'm going to put in the dictionary because it's my word. If anybody tells you that they came up with it before I did, well, then we're going to have a little talk. Because the other one there is tractor pattern. And the tractor pattern is what you see on a paper towel. You see all this repeat? All this repeat, all this repeat. If I try to paint watercolor over this tractor pattern, I see this pattern come through. Now that's different if there's a watermark. Some paintings, some paper has watermarks. And I sent out a couple this week with watermarks. Sometimes it just comes across the way it's cut and they leave it in there. And I don't cut it off, I leave it in there also. It's a imprint into that so that your paper as an artist gets out there. I like that folks know it's original when they see a watermark. This book had a big brother, and here it is. This is 10 by 5.5. This is 12 by 9. And so basically what happens is this paper comes in and it gets guillotined and wrapped. So I've pulled out the big paper today. I'm getting low on this, and if I travel the next few days, I'll carry this in my briefcase. So if I know if I only have 5 or 6 pieces, I want to hold on to it until I get past an art store and purchase some more. So those are two things. This is the large paper, but now that I've said all that about large paper, I'm going to do a large painting today. One of my favorites with all these different pens. I do it from time to time. I think Jason has one. Somebody else has one. It's called the kitchen sink, where I just throw everything I know at it and then some rough water and paint and let it just happen. And it just makes the coolest thing. It causes me to loosen up, and it keeps me from being a part of the hairball of art. Okay? So, and the hairball, of course, is everybody knows what a hairball is. It's just this, you think about your cat coughing up one, and it just starts with 2 hairs, and then they continue. It's not what you want to have breakfast on. But my point is that one of my favorite books of all time is Orbiting the Giant Hairball. And I quote Gordon McKenzie quite often. And the reason is that this quote right here. Here it is. It stays up on my wall. What I was made for is the disruption of the routine. Not pointless disruption, but disruption with a purpose. And I really realize in my consulting work, in my artwork, in my video work, in all the work that I go and consult for other people, I really was made for this disruption. I really like to say, if everyone else said they're using blue, I would like to say, why don't we use chartreuse just to be different? And they would go, well, we've never have. And I'll go, I know. And they go, like, we've never done it that before. 7 words, it'll kill anything. We've never done it that way before. Or, this is the way we've always done it. 7 words, it'll kill any organization. And right now I'm in the middle of a big art project that I'm shooting video of. So maybe in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'll show it to you. Maybe before Christmas, we'll see. I'm going to make a note of that, and I might tell you about what it is. Okay, I'm just writing on my blotter here. I feel like a 3rd grade teacher because I keep this on this old desk, like paint's going to hurt this old wooden table. So this book, The Hairball, is a very important book to me because we get into this mess, and I like to just kind of throw a curveball and make people push differently. And so painting loose has been that for me. Wanting to paint loose since the first time I started painting has been that for me. So today I wrote a little note on the top of my Facebook page and said, can I show you colors and examples of your sweatshirts with ruse on them, please? Maybe. I don't know that I have any. It depends on the color of the shirt. I do have a tea towel, so I'll do that before the show's over too. Hang on, I want to do this painting thing first. Tea towels, and I may have one sweatshirt here that's a red one, maybe. Yeah, I think there's a red one here that they sent me as a sample, and I'll go get it in just a little bit. But what I wanted to do is I just want to do some loose paintings for you first, and I'm going to pick up this big piece of paper, and the whole thing of words, yes, he's fast-brained, is the tractor gear. I don't see it in this paper. I don't, in 140 pound, I see this rough cotton flow of the difference between printed material and fabric. In fabric, you don't see that printed material. Here's a little piece of a linen cloth, and look, you see it, but it's not all the same. The undulations are different. This is just little, these were little linen things that I use in my shop sometimes, and the difference between this and this paper towel, other than just the color, is that you see how this has been printed. It's just been rolled through, and it's to give it a design. And I'm going like, why does a paper towel need a creative design? I don't know, just so it'll look good sitting in your paper towel roller in your kitchen. I'm going like, really? But I don't want things printed on it. But anyway, I don't know. I don't make those decisions, nor do I care. I just wonder about it. So for me, this is the kind of paper that I like. Whereas sometimes this paper here, and I have nothing against this company, in fact, but I look at this and I see all those things that are just the same. So this looks more like this than this does. And so I know those are tiny little things, but as you get better in your watercolor, these tiny little things will bother you some. Now, if I'm sitting at the table like last night and they wanted to play a little game, a Christmas game, and the back of the little handout they had was kind of slick, fun paper. Well, I just grabbed my pen and my little Altoid box and my Pentel brush and my aqua brush, and I just painted a little Christmas picture because I don't really play games, and so, but I was involved, but I was doing the two, and you know, it was so noisy you couldn't communicate with anybody across your table, and so I just painted this little thing, and then someone said, "What are you gonna do with that?" And I said, "I'm gonna give it to you." And, "Oh my gosh, I've been wanting one of your paintings." So, Merry Christmas. And so that's kind of how that comes together, because my brain is always firing. And I try to stay out of that hairball, thank you, Gordon, and orbit around it creatively. Now, what keeps me in that is that I paint only 5 or 6 or 7 different things most of the time, but they're colorful, they're characters that I love, and they can just about get away with saying anything. Honeybees, roosters for sure, shrimp, lobsters, crab, I don't know what else I paint. I'd have to look back and see. Sometimes vegetables that speak, those things that I want to do. And so I only have 4 or 5. I just painted roosters for the first 7 years of just painting over and over, thousands of them. And so I still love those. And so then, but different styles within those and different characters. So people say, "Hey, how come you don't paint pigs?" Most of them are not very colorful. I don't feel good about well, I got pink, I guess, and gray and white and gray and white and black and gray and white and black and gray and maybe a pink nose. You see what I'm saying? But rooster, you feel weird painting a pig purple. I don't know. I do. But and I don't like painting 4 legs in the shape of horses. They're beautiful, but I just don't paint them and can't. And so anyway, so that's part of what limits my style. Part of it is not that I feel like I'm art limited, that I couldn't learn how to paint it. Part of it is it limits me here. And I just go, I don't want to go there. There's not enough personality in that. And I also lost my love of horses when we owned at camp. We owned 30 of them, and I took care of most of them. And so, hey, here is my bee cup. It's sitting on my desk today. There's the swarm cup, and these are all bees that I've done. And so they're on a cup with, it had to be yellow in the center, huh? That's on my Etsy site. But I will show you some tea towels and a t-shirt before we're done today. Here's what I'm going to start with real quickly and stop talking and start painting. And I told you I was going to use a pen today. Let me see if I have. I sit down here with my first cup of tea as I was waiting for the computer to warm up. And for heaven's sakes, I'd be dangerous if I only had a brain. These are a couple. This is a little rooster that I just painted. I sketched out with this number 3 Preppy pen right there. Real simple, just like that. Okay, and I thought I'd just throw a little color on him and show you how this should be done. This is going to take me 45 seconds to. This is going to take me about 45 seconds to literally sketch this, if that, maybe 20 seconds. And then really, if I'm painting the way that I really like to paint, I don't want to put too much pressure on me or the painting And I just wanted, and this is very thin sketching paper, drawing paper actually. So it's only 80 pounds. And so I want to leave it very loose. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm not even really going, yeah, I probably will. Started to say I wasn't even going to wet these, but I'm just going to give them a little bit of a shot and just let them sort of wet a little bit. Here's my American Journey colors. And then I'm just going to go in with a damp brush. Make sure it's clean. Why? I don't know. Okay, and then just touch a little water in here. I'm going to do this, let this pen, by the way, was done 20 minutes ago while I was sitting here, and it's still loose. Now I'm just going to come in and touch a little bit of color on it, just like that. I'm touching the ink from this preppy pen, and on this smooth 80 pound drawing paper, it's mixing with the color. And this is what I love sometimes. I just love it. And I picked up green sort of by mistake. And so I'm just going to go with it. I wasn't paying attention. And so I kind of like it. I'm going to stay there. So this is just going to be a great example of that roo. And I'm going to do something that I started out with roosters with black tails years ago. And I'm just going to keep this rooster just like that. I'm just going to grab a little bit of orange and yellow right here mixed in my tray. I think you can see that. I'm going to come in just a little closer on this rooster. And then give me a minute to focus it. A minute. I said a minute. It's taking me 5 minutes. What's going on here? Oh, there we go. Look at that right there. That's sharp. Okay. And then I'm just going to come in and do a little bit here. A little orange here. A little here. I want a little more red coming down from the head, just like that. And I'm going to let that red meet in with this orange yellow right there. Watch. I'm just going to touch it. Just touch it. And it's got to have a little touch of blue. There we go. And I think this rooster is, I'm going to grab an 05 pen and just come under him like this right here with some cross hatching. Just put him a little bit in the kind of a damp brush and just let that come in. And I really feel like, other than putting a little green grass in here, I feel like he's done. And so I don't want to do any more to him. Now I sketched another one going the other way, and just to show you how fast that should happen. Loose, get away from it, put it down. So 2 people last week sent me notes and said, I wish you would just talk about loose painting a little more. I could really help that. Wizard of Oz and pigs are another color. Yeah, and the monkeys are purple. What is the surface of material you have not painted on yet and you would love to try? What green is that? Paula Lynn says. Okay, great. I got some Q questions. I'll go jump on those. While that dries, and then I get ready to do this one, and then we're going to do a bigger roo this morning. I love these questions that are coming in, so hold on one second. Let me get them all here, and I'll just, I put that in the wrong place every time I do that. What's the matter with me? Q. All right, here we go. All right, so I had, what's the surface material you have not painted on yet and you would love to try? Wow, that's a good question, and I don't know that I have a great answer for that because I have painted watercolor on canvas if it's sized well or if it's gessoed. But the watercolor still lays there for a long time and it doesn't stay on really well, so you'll have to coat it on the outside. I've painted cardboard boxes, pizza boxes. What haven't I painted on? I painted wood with watercolor and it does amazingly well. It seeks in. You got to be careful if it's too much water and the grain of the wood's not tight. So there's a way to do that too. I sand the wood down and then I will rub my hands on it, almost like you would do an English, some of the greatest English woodwork was hand rubbed. And I don't mean just hand rubbed with something. I mean rubbed with their hands. I know a guy who used to rub his forehead like this. In fact, I did a gun stock like this one time, a miniature gun stock. I shot the plans down on a Hawken 45 caliber rifle, a black powder gun, and I made the gun in replica with silver, and it's about this long. And to give it the walnut stock, the sheen that I wanted, I would rub my face. It sounds weird, but everybody has oils, and I would get the oil up in here, and I would hand rub that. There's a word for that. In woodworking, it's called burnishing. And so burnishing is just rubbing it like this with the oils from your skin Any oils that you might have feel kind of dry here on this day. But if I keep rubbing this and burnishing it like this, I'm going to wind up with this really smooth surface that doesn't allow moisture to go in it as much. I don't know if you know about woodworking, those of you woodworkers, but if you want to sand something and you want it baby's bottom smooth, you sand it with a very fine grained sandpaper, and then you take a damp cloth and you wet the surface and you give it a few minutes, maybe even 30 minutes, and the grain rises up. The water causes it to swell. That's what wood does when it gets wet. And then when that dries, that swelled grain is up again, and you can feel it. You go, I just sanded it as rough. Well, the water, and then you sand that down again. You do that about 3 times, and you'll extend the life of all that rising up grain. And then when you hand rub it or burnish it, you got this slick piece that really holds off water. Amazing, huh? You do the same thing with metal. You heat it to a point of tempering, and then what happens is when you put the oil on it, the oil seeps into it and causes this almost like a color a little bit, but also a seal. That's why beeswax and bear talon and all those were used to help metals back in the turn of the century. Yeah, up there, there's some information. I don't know where it came from over the years of learning and making to do things. Okay, so the surface I haven't painted on yet is probably, I don't like painting on rocks. I think there are people who paint rocks. I go, it's okay. It's not me. Paper is just my favorite. And sometimes in a hotel room or a banquet hall like last night, or they pass out a piece of paper, the first thing I do, even in restaurants, that's probably it. There's probably some restaurants that I haven't. There's some pretty fancy restaurants where I'll just take their menu sheet out of the little flyer and say, hey, the back of this is plain, I'll keep it. And the guy goes, well, you can't keep that. And I go, what do you mean? You run off 1,000 of them. It's a piece of paper. He goes, yeah, you're right. So I'll fold it over and I'll paint something on it. Usually give it to him, and then he's happy that I kept it or her. And so those are kind of some fun pieces of paper that you really have to be creative with the use of water and color. What green is that? That is spring green. It's American Journey Spring Green is the green I picked up, okay? There's spring green in here. There's olive green. There's green gold, which is really kind of a funky color. Some people have earth and greens. I don't keep that. I just mix these 3 in there if I want something together. But I kind of like that. You can see here where it mixed into the black. And this black has given me this great little color. Now I can go in here with just a little more black right here and bring out some depth in that. And I love that. That's a good Christmas tree green if you're thinking about painting a little Christmas tree. In fact, I think I got one sketched here somewhere. We'll do that here in a minute if I can find it. Let's do this other rooster and we'll go from there, okay? Here we go. No water on this one, just going to take it straight in paint. I want to show you a difference here, okay? So, he's an Ida Schuster. All right, so there we go. So a little of that. And I'm just going to put a little brush of this red back here in the tail feathers. All right, just because I felt like it. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of this gamboge right here. Yeah, this, and just kind of come in here. And I'm not trying to paint like I'm painting the barn. Again, remember, some of us still do that. Some of you still go, you got to get close in here, and you go, I wonder why my painting is not loose. The reason is because you're not letting it be loose. You're forcing paint to go places where you want it to go. Stop that and let the paint go where it needs to go. And you can do. How do you do that? All right, I'm going to show you in the tail feathers again. Here's just water. Bringing the water in, letting it run over the lines, past the lines, outside the lines, and then just put the paint in and let it follow the water. And there you go. And then let it come down here like this. I think this rooster needs a little bit of this brown in him. He's just he needs to be dirtied up just a little bit. There he is right there. And the tops of his legs are going to be that too. Do the same thing. Come in like this on the high side. And then come in with a little bit there and cross hatch this. This is a 5-pin tail. Love this pin, always have. You know, I'll cry in my soup the day that Pintail brings it off the market and says, we're done with that pin. Our office companies are not using it anymore. And you go, office companies? What about us people who are orbiting the hairball? Okay, so there's a little piece. I'm going to go in here with this black pen and put a little eye right there. And then when he dries, I'll come back in and put some, man, that's a pretty good looking rooster, isn't it? Yeah. What else was on this thing? There was a penguin I started. I thought I had a Christmas tree somewhere. Let me see. Let me see if I can find that Christmas tree real quickly before I go into a big painting. And let me go back to comments here. All right. Linda Cook Van Handenlam, thanks for being on the show. I hope you're having a wonderful morning. It's, okay. Elaine Barnett, tried new paper brand, hot and cold press, so the paper was decent. The glue on the block was too thick. My word. Yeah, you know, a couple times, Chris, send them a note about that. If that's the paper you got from, one of those was I saw your ad, or if that was the paper you were printing on. It was Italian or was it Japanese? I don't remember. But sometimes Fluid has done that a couple times for me. The Speedball Company, who owns Fluid Papers, they sent some artwork out a few years ago. Woo. Yeah, it is gray in Greenville and it's raining, and my daughter's going down to an art show, so it could be an interesting day. So that's why I took that text. Okay, I just mentioned that she was heading down there. Now, here's where I was telling you. Fluid paper, the glue was so heavy on the sides that you couldn't even hardly cut it loose. And I sent them a note and said, hey, look, I've ruined paintings by just trying to rip them off when I'm on the road. I can't even use a tool to cut it off. I have to use a razor, and I've cut the paper a couple times. And so they responded, and about 4 days later, I got a phone call. About that afternoon, I got a phone call 4 days later after I explained my predicament to her very kindly and said, I like your paper. I like the cotton paper, but there's so much glue on this. And I said, has anybody else had this problem? And she said, I don't think so, but I'll check. Anyway, 4 days later, I was delivered a box of paper from them, and they said, try this. We're sorry. And it's not just to try and get paper, but you let them know if there's something like that. They may appreciate it from you. So I do let art companies know that. I'm painting on some paper right now from Hobby Lobby, and they sent me about 30 different sheets of their paper. They're trying to upscale their paper a little bit, and they said, when we met you in Orlando, you shot us straight. You just cut to the point and said, here's what I like, here's what I don't like, here's where you're being too cheap, here's where you don't think the artists know the difference, and dadgummit, we do, those of us who think like artists. And so would you either charge more? I mean, you're trying to sell paper for $1.99. Don't do it. Sell it for $5 and then make sure it's better paper. Or sell it for $10. I'm willing to pay $20 for a pack of paper or more, $30 if it's good paper. It makes a difference. And so it makes a difference in how it lasts for the people who get your art. The worst thing you want to do is go to somebody's house 10 years after you painted something and you can't see the piece of art you painted. Like, oh, what happened to it? Well, we're maybe this room's a little light. You never should hang art in direct sunlight, but still. So all of that, I contact the art companies, but I do that very tactfully. Skeeter, where I think she's supposed to be, where my daughter's supposed to be, where you met her at that last art show. I don't even when you and your beautiful wife showed up, and I'm not sure. I'll get the name of that, and then I'll tell you. Okay, all right. Here we go. Here's that little tree. And I was going to show you how these two greens and blacks work together. This is on 140-pound Kilimanjaro paper. It's going to react a little differently to this. This pen's been on here for a while. And what I mean a while is some of it's been on here for a couple days. Some of it I just added this morning. But I'm going to, if the pen doesn't bleed the way I want it to, what I'm going to do is just add a little black in here or mix these colors together. So if I'm working on a Christmas tree, and this is my style tree, okay? My style tree is to take a fountain pen, and if I wanted to, got a great story about this pen. I'll just add a little more dark in here with this pen around the trunk of the tree. Why am I adding it there? Because that's where it's going to be the darkest, in close near the trunk, where the less light gets in. So I've added that in there like that. And then I'm going to take my brush. And by the way, I'm using a number 6. If I had a 4 up here, I'd probably use it. I don't see a 4. How about that? Huh? I must have it somewhere else. I'll use the 6 and be happy with it. Okay, so I'm going to go in there. And it's a cool little tree. Is that as close as I can get on the old tree? No, there's a better shot right there. Let me come in. Hold on. There we go. And focus looks good up there. Okay, so let these dry out. And here we go. Here's a little Christmas tree. Instead of me trying to do a tree that people do sometimes when they do these little Christmas trees, look. It's your art. You can do with it whatever you want, but some people like to change. People paint Christmas trees like this. And to me, that looks like a great quick sketch, but not a sketch that I would do. So for me, I just start here with this little piece of just coming down scratchy, and I just scratch it. Why? Because most of my trees are blue spruce, and so I scratch in, and then I drop a couple in here, and then on out to here, then on out to here, and out to here, and I just climb the tree downward, no pun intended, and sometimes I put those little spurs that spruce and balsam have out on the sides. Balsam would be a little looser. And I try not to duplicate. See, if I start going like this and I go like, oh, he's done different limbs, that's a confused tree. And this is a cartoonish or a Christmas card. This is a Hallmark tree. This is a rue tree just simply because it's got all this space in it. And it's got this different pins there's 3 different pins in here, maybe 4. I think I used an 03, an 05. Maybe it's just an 03. I thought I had an 05 laying on the desk. I used a Kakuno and I used a Metropolitan. 2 Pentels, carbon ink, and Pentel ink, and Pilot ink, I'm sorry. And so this is a Pilot Metropolitan. This is the Pilot Kakuno. And so let's put some water with it and just show you what happens here. Now first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a little bit of water and see how much black I've erupted in there. So I'm just touching that right down the core of the tree to get some shadow going. See that? Just like that, boom. That's dark, isn't it? But guess what's going to happen when I come in with some of this light and put it on top? It's just going to come in just like that right there. And you can do this tree in a different way. You can start with your light colors instead of your dark. But I knew that ink was going to go out there. And if that's too much, I can go in and cover it with some green ink. Or, watch this. If that's too much right in the middle, I can come in and take some of that completely out and then go back in with some of my green. And I lose some of that. Now I just have shadow in the tree. And by the way, that's another good way to erase watercolor. I know I do a lot of repeats on this show, but a lot of different people are different stages of printing. And so I literally am just, you see how I'm running around everywhere with my brush. I'm really being tried. I have no plan with this other than to put paint where I think it needs to go. In some places it'll wind up where it doesn't even need to be, but that makes a great little Christmas tree. And that's about as simple as you can get. I'm going to grab some brown here. And I don't know the names of my browns, and I don't really care. Maybe I should learn one that I really like. But I have 3 browns in here. There's light brown, there's lighter brown, and then there's darker brown. And so I don't know what they are. I always do my buckets in sort of a green and a brown. So I'm just going to grab both of those, green and a light brown. I'm just going to make a rusty bucket, and that's going to be that. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of just a purple wash here. Seriously? Yeah, why not? Why not? And a little rose on the ground. There we go. With that purple wash. Man, does that make a great little Christmas tree? I like it. I like it a lot. And what have I got? 5 minutes invested in this? You see how fast this can go when you are free to just light your hands up and think, and sometimes put on a piece of music and just dilly-dally around. Watch this. I'm going to show you one more thing that I do sometimes. And some of you are really good at this. Denise is great at this. Pat is good at this. Chris Whitaker. I mention those 3 ladies because their art has a style that is recognizable. Okay, this is not a show about favorites. It's about recognizable art. I could see it and go, boom. Renee Crease, I can see your art. There's several people that I see your art and I go, without a name, I know who did it. the point is you're working on a certain style that other people will know you by that style as well. But there's a couple things they do. They go in different ways. They all detail a little differently. And sometimes I'll do that with an 05 pen where I'll come in here and I'll add just a couple of those little spurs that I was talking about just on the tail ends of the tree, just to give it even a little more of its looseness. You want it to be, you don't want it to be so uniform. If your tree is perfect in every way, you miss what Christmas is about. It's not perfect. You know, God didn't come to the Taj Mahal or to the Hyatt Regency. He was born in a stable where hair was sticking out and they wrapped him in swaddling clothes. And, you know, you see my point? And so for me, that's just a style. That is a style of beliefs that goes into my art. And so for me, I'll come back in. I'm working on this chandelier right now. And, okay, so there's your tree. I'm going to try scratchy trees. I'm going to do, well, I got time to do one more for you. Okay, let me do one more scratchy tree for you. And I'm going to do it on, what's that paper I had up here? I'm going to do it on this. Here, I'm going to grab a sheet of this. Expensive stuff, huh? Voila. Rip that out. Let me just lop it in half so we got just a little piece here to do. Here we go. Just going to throw it in there. That looks like that's about half right there. Let's see how close I got. Oh, merciful Georgia. All right. So here we go. Pentel is great for this. If you want to start with an 05 and then add some, if you add too much fountain pen ink at the beginning, it's going to bleed all over the place. So let's see. I don't know if I have any Christmas music in here. So I'd play something if I did, but I don't know that I do. It's probably, well, you hear it all the time. There's a song called Four Trees, though. Yeah, none of my work is perfectly symmetrical, and I love that, Pat. But that's the way it should be. I think nothing in nature is really perfectly round or perfectly symmetrical. Nothing in nature. All the tree limbs. So why in the second grade do we teach kids to paint trees with all their limbs being symmetrical? The menorah is close. Fibonacci said there's repetition in there, but even that repetition in its repeating phase gets smaller and smaller and smaller, so it's not the same. So if you ever want to study Fibonacci, here's a genius. Okay, so here's this little tree. I'm going to just paint it this way, and I'm just going to put it right here off to the side. And I'm just going to start here from the top and just kind of start scratching it. Look, and I'm just dropping it out, and I'm sort of scratching light. Can you tell? Okay, went too far with that first little limb, so it's going to be just a little extended. Might be one that we have to cut off. Now I put some limbs in here crossed over closer to this. There's another scratchy little thing. Look at this. Come out here just on the ends of these. I think you can see my drawing. Is it kind of focused or not? Yeah, it's pretty close. Okay, this is a tiny, I need to pull this camera in for things this small, but here goes just a little more. Come in. Some more down here. When I see a limb that I just make a strike and I don't get it brushed out the way I want it to, I'll go back and add some of that. Remember, I'm going to keep scratching. We should have clocked this. I should have said, hey, I'll go for 1 minute just to get the tree out. Here's the only place that it should be symmetrical. It's going to come down looking like it's in the shape of a triangle. We know that because it has to, because it grows that way. And the Christmas tree people trim it that way. Down under, I think it's like this. So I think the people in Australia, we talked to those folks to find out if they really do that. But I think you'll find that they hang their trees the way we do. Gravity would cause it to bend down anyway. Okay, so there's a little thing. You know, I always put my trees in buckets, 5-gallon buckets. So the bale on this bucket is hanging here. It's up here like this. Okay, so there's that. So we'll be done. All right. So that piece of music was just a minute and a half or so. So there it is. And then I'm going to come in once again with my little kakuno, and I'm just going to add a little touch of shadowing in here where it's going to be dark on the inside of the tree. I don't have to do this. I can do it with paint. But I really love the way pens bleed, and I love the grays and the Payne's grays. that you get with this. And so I'm going to put a little shadowing in here, and I'm going to put a little shadow on the bucket, and we'll come in here, and a little shadow around the bucket right here. Okay, so then I'm going to grab that pen and go to it. And so I'm going to grab my darker green paint just for a second and put some of that right down in the middle here, just a touch, just like that. There you go. That's not much, is it? But I'm going to come back with a little bit of water, and I'm just going to touch that paint and push it to the outside just a little bit, just like this. And never thought I'd be painting Christmas trees, but it's Christmas. And then my little green. Mix two of these greens together, and I'm going to get this great little look. And by the way, if it's a blue spruce, I'll put some blue in there. And if that's too much, it's going to go dark. I'll pull some of that to the outside so I get that little bit of a blue hue. Blue hue sounds like somebody I went to school with. All right, a little more green up here, just like so. And I'm just following it up, not too symmetrical, just letting it hang loose a little bit. All right, so there's a little different style, and I like this. Here's the other thing you can do. You can bring a little more of that light in as it dries on this paper. This is excellent paper. I'm going to grab a little brown, and I'll come in with the trunk of the tree right there, and I'll just touch some up in here. Give this bucket a little bit of green brush rust off of my paint. Touch a little more green on the side of this, and then just a clean brush to go through this and let it shadow out like this. And so there's my tree. Now, if there's too much blue for you, you can take some of it out, or you can always come back in and add a little bit of spiny stuff, which you had to trim off and make a wreath out of that, right? It's what you put on your mailbox. All the trimmings off the bottom, put a bow on that. All right, so there's two different styles. Take a look. One's thicker than the other. One's lighter. You can see through one, you can't see through the other. See that? And you see the difference in the blue spruce and the balsam pine? Ta-da! And just because I just touched a little bit of blue, and I didn't do the whole tree, I just did it right there. Could I really go in there and lighten that up a little bit? Yeah, if I took a little yellow, watch what happens. Oh, man. All right, there's your couple ideas for trees. Man, that's a great little Christmas painting right there. There's a Christmas card tree. This blue ink on my finger, but now I'll just rub it in and make sky out of it. Okay. Kitchen sink. Let's do one more a little small kitchen sink, and then I was going to tell you a story. I'm working on a project right now. Today, when I leave my office in a few minutes here, leave my studio in a few minutes, I am going to go back to work. Yesterday, I welded for several hours and bent some steel rods. About a year and a half ago, if you remember, maybe a little more than a year ago, I started telling you about a prison project that I was working on with some guys that want to turn a prison into a trade school. And so I was going in to shoot the video. I took all my camera. He said, no, leave your camera and gear here. We've got a crew coming in. You're the talent. I said, excuse me? You mean I have to speak on camera? Why didn't you tell me I had a script or something? It's not that I'm afraid of speaking on camera. I'm just saying, I don't know anything about what's going on here. And he goes, I'm going to tell you. So he gives me this rundown. And then I do the video. It happens. We take it to a fundraiser. And I wind up emceeing the event, running the video, which was awkward. But as we were walking through the prison, I said, save some of these locks from me, from the doors. I'd like to make a sculpture out of them someday if you ever want to raise some money. And I'll get some artists to come together and we create this breaking free thing of these kids learning trades whose parents are incarcerated. These are closed prisons. My friend has a couple of them now. They're purchased prisons with land for gardens and auto shop, electrical, plumbing, and art, and all those things that kids need to know how to do today. Come on, high schools, bring shop class back, and art class and architect, all those things. So my point is that I was walking through the gates. I had to go through one gate and another gate and then a third gate and then a double reinforced gate, and they all were covered. They were 8 to 12 feet. They all had concertina wire or razor wire as we know it. You see it in the news, you see it. And so, the stuff is just hazardous looking. And so I said, hey, you should save me several hundred feet of that wire. And I should make a chandelier out of it and call it Dark Delight. And they all kind of looked at me like, he's not normal. And I go, yeah, normal people are boring. And so anyway, it was a fun little joke. So they called me a week and a half ago and said, hey, remember that chandelier idea you came up with? And I said, yeah. So we're doing this big event on one of the campuses. These schools haven't opened yet. We're still raising money, still working on it. But we would love to hang that chandelier. Could you build it? And I'm going like, can I get the wire? And so anyway, so now I have 450 feet of concertina wire in my shop downstairs. And I bought the steel yesterday, and I started using my bender, and I bent the steel into the shape, and so I'm building this chandelier. So I'll be welding. I'm going to work on it today, some tomorrow after church. Monday, it's got to be finished by Tuesday. So I've got the fixtures to wire in, and then I've got to hang it on Thursday. So we'll see what happens. And I told them that, hey, when you get over 60, you say, I'm done with ladders. And so I need some help. And so we'll see what happens. Anyway, so that's the project I'm working on today. So there you go. Hey, Jack Wolfenbarger, good to have you on the show, man. Sounds like a sharp project. Charlene Faro, thank you for being on the show. Well, it'll be cool if it doesn't cut me. So it comes with a box of Band-Aids. And all right, so here we go. I actually went there and shot the video from one of the cells in solitary confinement. And solitary confinement, man, it was just a scary place to be. I'm just going to tell you, it was like, whoa, who wants to be here? All right, so let's grab a big old pen today. Here it is, Safari. Let's see if it's writing. Maybe. Might get this thing to scratch a little bit out for us. And let me just do a repeat on one of those roos. It was kind of fun. Here, let's just go for this guy right here. We'll turn his head this way, and we'll put his beak here. Goes like this. All right, let's see. And it's 15 till 9:48. Let's see if we can do this sketch in about a minute here, a little less. All right, that's you cost me time already, so forget you. Okay, you're not working well today. Okay, here we go. We'll use this, and we're gonna come over with this. I love that. That's just a hoot right there, isn't it? Okay, so I love it. All right, so this is sort of my kitchen sink roo, and I'm going to use 5 different pens, and I do this from time to time. Jason, I know, has one of these in his architectural class, I think. And so that was the pilot medium point. Here is the preppy. This is a preppy pen, and I just want to put some shading in here with this preppy pen. Just kind of bark it in there like this, and here like so. And then I'm going to use this this pen right here is one of my favorites. This is a Kakuno. I lost my Kakuno pen, and it's been gone for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. So last week I ordered a new one. Amazon shipped me in one. And this morning I got up, and I've got to be out in my shop, and I put on this old, before Banana Republic was a flashy place to buy high-priced clothes, it was a real outfitter. Safari pants and shirts, and this photographer's vest. I actually wore this in Israel the first time I went. I put it on this morning. It's been hanging in my closet. I put it on, and in the pocket was my other Kakuno pen. I went, yeah, it's about 8 weeks that I wore that thing. Okay, so 6-8 weeks ago. So here we go. I'm going to put some color in here like with this. Just add this in. I love it when this comes together. I'm going to use the R2 pen, which is a ballpoint pen. Who would have thunk it that I would actually have a roller ball here? But this thing is so dark. And then let's see. I don't know what I threw that other pen. I had one Pat sent me, but it's in my bag, Pat. I'm sorry, I was going to put it in there today. Pat sent me one of the new Sharpie pins, and that thing is pretty cool, actually. I like to sign with it because I can make a bold statement, so to speak. All right, so this is the what is this? This is the Extreme Gel. These are from Yasutoma, and so I'm going to put some of this right here like this. All right, so I'm into this now for about 3 minutes, piddling around here. I'm going to put some veining in the feet already, And then I'm just going to go and grab myself a little bit of titanium. No, I'm going to use ink. No, I'm not. I'm going to use, what am I going to use? I'm going to find what I'm going to use first. You see, I'm making this up as I go today. Just hold on one second here. Here we go. There's some titanium carbon black. There's some carbon black. We'll just use that. All right, so here we go. Grab a little bamboo brush so we can make a bigger mess. All right. Go ahead and touch a little water in here. Watch what happens already to this ink. It's going to start loosening up and painting like this. I love it when this does what it's supposed to do. All right, move back out a little. All right, so there we go. Looks like he's kind of wearing a pirate's hat a little bit, doesn't he? So remember, I'm not trying to wet the whole bird. I'm just trying to get a little water going here that's going to roll down in certain places. Just tap it a little bit, splatter, give it a little bit like this. This is that pen. You can see how dark that's going to bleed. I'm going to grab a little like this, and then this is the magic. I love it. And this never gets old to me when I'm doing this, whether I'm doing it in front of kids in a classroom or online or just for myself. I take a little bit of this. This is the carbon. I'm just going to touch one little spot of the carbon right here and just let it kind of go. And you see where it's taken off to. Watch this. If I turn it up like this, it's just going to follow the water in. And the other thing I can do to really make this roll is I can grab a little bit of just black ink and watch it go. Ink and paint are not the same thing. And so what happens is it just takes off and makes the most fun you've ever seen. Love it. Come in here. Now I am working so lightly. I mean, in fact, it's hurting my brain to think of yesterday I'm bending steel rods and I'm lifting heavy things. And today I'm trying to finesse this bamboo brush, which weighs nothing, not as much as a mailing envelope. And so it's kind of fun when that happens. I'm just going to change directions on you a little bit. I'm not going to do this all black and white. I'm just going to go in here and grab a little bit of red and just drop it right down in here. And some right here too, just a touch of red. And also, just for the sake of this, I'm just going to drop some red right there if it'll drop. Not really wanting to drop out of this dropper. It must have a hole in the dropper somewhere. And I'm going to pop a little yellow right here. Just there, and a little yellow right there. Okay, and yellow will get absorbed by that black if I'm not very careful, so I've got to be very, very careful with that. Yep, see, it's already eaten its lunch. So let's take this piece right here and bring it in, and let's do this red. Let's touch this yellow here, see if we can get a little orange coming in. I'm just touching up in here. I'm not trying to paint all the places in. I'm going to go ahead and get some gamboge over here, a little bit of orange, and just mix those together, and we'll come down and I'm going to do his feet with this, just here like so. And then I'm going to take my 05, no, and this one, no, the 07, a little bigger pen. This is the 07. Identical pens, just one of them is, it's too bigger. Get it? Shoot. Hey, life is too short to be stuffy, people. So lighten up with your art and lighten up with your life and enjoy the season. And let's see, next Saturday is what? The 21st? Yeah, I think I'm going to, is that right? No, Thursday's the 19th, Friday's the 20th. Saturday's, yeah, 21st. I think that's right. I think that's the 21st. And so basically what happens is sometimes when you're playing, I think you might do your best art. And I think some of you don't play enough. You sit down at the desk and you get frustrated. It's like golf. You know, you get frustrated when you play golf because you hit, this is like, don't get frustrated. You haven't lost the ball in the weeds. You just are here and have fun with it. I'm going to take some of that beautiful green that you guys like this morning. I'm going to drop it right in there like that. And then I'm just going to tap some of it on the page like that. And I'm going to sweep some of it right underneath him like this. And I think the only color that's missing is this royal amethyst. And there it is, a little purple right there. And maybe a little bit of purple right here. I'll come back when that dries. That's a kind of a cool piece. Very Christmassy with that green and red in there. All right. So there's that little rooster that I did. Take a look at the difference in heavy paint but loose, light paint and loose. You see the difference? I went heavy here with the water. I went heavier with the paint. Anytime you're dropping very concentrated color, which is what this Hydrus watercolor is. It's liquid watercolor, but it's pretty stout. Anytime you drop this on there, you're going to get a boldness that's just going to jump at you. And now it's going to dry a little more Payne's gray, except these are going to stay dark down here. And I am tempted to put another color up there, but I'm not. I'm just going to let him go just like he is. I like him this way. I like the fact that he's just raucous. He's unruly. He looks like he spent the night under the tractor, which reminds me of a painting that I have to do for Grit Magazine. But my point is that these kind of paintings should be fun to do, and they should be fun for you to just play around and concentrate on. Here's the other one right here. Light color, loose, 60-pound drawing paper. Going to be a little wrinkled in the back where I use too much water, but it's going to frame beautifully, and that's the fun thing about this. So try to use the best paper you can afford. Ask for it for Christmas. Use the best brushes you can afford. For years, you know what I've been using, right? And I still do, my Cheap Joe's American Journey brushes. They're nylon. Now I've just upped the game. These are still not sable, but they're pseudo-sable. They're made out of a synthetic hair, which is a little finer than the nylon. What's that give me? Softerness, and it holds more water. These have been great for my honeybees. I'm still painting my 2,000 honeybees. So pins, pintails. These are Preppies from Cheap Joe's Art Stuff. Yasutoma. Pilot from Japan. Safari. This is the Safari Lamy. And this is an R2 from the dollar store. Two in a pack. And this is just another 05 that looks just like these. It's the same pen. And by the way, I think y'all know this. This pen that I carry daily, which is a very heavy brass-bodied pen, the refill in here is the 05. So if I'm sitting at a table sketching in a restaurant, I want my sketching pen to feel like, I think it's time. I dropped this one yesterday, so it's time to put a new refill in it. So I'll just slip a refill in. And I buy those in boxes, and they come in, and here it is right here. Even though it's got ink in it, it's because I dropped it on its nose, they're done for. So I wasn't on the carpet in here, so I'll put a refill in that. All right, so there you go. That's what's happening today. And I pulled this book out. He asked the kids in the first grade, I saw the artwork as I walked down the hall. How many of you are artists? And they all held up their hands. When he asked the second grade, about half of them raised their hands, kind of shoulder high. The first grade were always all the way to the ceiling. When he asked the third grade kids, about 10 kids raised their hands. And this went on. When he asked the sixth grade, only 2 kids barely raised their hand. And he said, what's going on here? Are all the kids in this school transferring out to art schools so they can do art? And some of them didn't even recognize his little joke. And he says, I don't think that's it. I'm afraid there's something more sinister at work here. I think what's happening is that you're being tricked out of one of the greatest gifts every one of you receives at birth. And that is the gift of being creative and being an artist, a creative genius. They could reclaim their creative genius. I tell the students, it may not be easy, but it's doable. Every school I was participating in was suppressing creative genius. Why? Why would anyone want to suppress genius? It's not intentional. It's not a plot. Genius is an innocent casualty in society's efforts to train children away from their natural-born foolishness. Now, I think there's different kinds of fools. I think there are people who just make poor choices, and I think there are people who uh, just have an evil bent, and I think there are people that want to hurt other people. But the silliness of art, the foolishness of just wanting to be an artist, has seemed foolish. It did when I was growing up. I had to go get my degree, and I fought against it. And as you see, I didn't, and now I'm still being foolish, but I'm painting, and I'm loving it, and I love people. And so I think, wow, it worked. And that's why this book was important to me when I read it. So I'm not saying be foolish, but I'm saying when it comes to art, why be normal? Why be normal? But creative genius uh, are originals. And so be an original. And so, this is the first time that I've ever painted my, turned some of my work loose to be on prints. So I'm going to take 2 minutes here and show you this. Let me just go to the desk and then I'll be done because I promised I was going to do this. I just saw my list. There it is. I got to move this so I don't get paint all over something. This is a tea towel with the roo's head on it. So any of the thing, if you go to Pen Prints, PENNPRINTS, penprintsinc.com .shop. If you go there and just Google Roodoodles on that page, you'll see it. If you go to Pen Prints, you're going to see my drawings. If you were to click on any of those and scroll down, you could go to the sweatshirt. It's printed. It's going to be a big old print on the sweatshirt. This is actually bigger on this tea towel now than it was. This is the print that sold this week. This is on a big tea towel. This is a tea towel that's available for Christmas. Here's one with the Christmas bulb. This is the painting I sold yesterday. So this is the bee. All these are tea towels. There's the Bee of Good Cheer tea towel. It's right there. I'm sorry, my camera is way too far in for you to see some of those, but I'll show some more of these this week. I'll throw some of them out. If you're going to order them at Pen Prints Inc. and you want Christmas ones, you're going to have to get on it so they can get them to you. Or I guess you can just hang them out all through January, but they'll be there. There's several others than that, but these are the Christmas ones that have come out. This was actually a bigger print now. He's about like this. These were samples sent to me. This says, I got this. This is the manger scene that's on one. This is another one. There's the bees and holly, and there's a sweatshirt that has this one on it that printed really well. This one here, he's pretty big size, and he's on the front. Okay, so I think there's a red shirt and a green shirt, but you could choose. I think there's a hoodie too. Pen Prints Inc. .shop. Pen Prints Inc. I'll put the link out today. Thank you for being a part of the show, and don't forget to go to Roodoodles Etsy shop. That's where my cups are. There's a metal mug. Did you know that this is a little metal cup? Great for your shop. It's got my roosters on it. There he is right there. And this one has bees. There's another one somewhere that has something on it. Oh, and Think Like an Artist is out there also. So Think Like an Artist is there. And then, of course, I still have a few of these, but they're here with me. That's my room. So it was time for me to adapt and put some of those on there. All the folks at Patreon know about adapting because we've been talking about adapting your art. And blessings to you all. Thanks. It's fun to paint with you. I got to go get a box of Band-Aids and start in on a chandelier. I'm shooting video as I go, so I'm going to put a piece together so you can see that light come together. I want to see it come together. I don't even know if it'll work, but I'm pushing it. All right. Blessings to you all. Thanks for being on the show. The site only shows the prints available. Okay. So, okay. There we go, Denise. All right. And Denise likes, you love your glasses. Thank you very much. All right. I'll see if I can get some information on that. And blessings. All right. I'm out of here like a herd of turtles. Gone.